Hey, I'm Josh Campbell. I'm a new media major at the University of Tampa. I'll be graduating tomorrow with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in New Media. I'd like to show you my project here. This here is the modernized big band stand. Obviously, it's multi-purpose as it can also be used as a bar, which is what it will end up being because I'm giving it to my wife, Michelle. But as we know with big band, sometimes the stands are a little flimsy and they look a little cheesy. So we thought it needed to be updated, a little bougie, which is why we went with the white faux fur and the red faux leather and matte black siding. All the materials were locally sourced, but it's kind of chain store stuff, really. We're talking like Home Depot and Hobby Lobby, pretty much for most of everything. Except for the screen here, which was actually, somebody was kind enough to leave that on their sidewalk, so I thought it would be great to recycle and repurpose it. So why did I do this, right? Like, why would you make a modernized big band stand? Well, you think about it. Horn players, not big bands, but just horn players in pop bands anymore. They look so cheesy, standing in the back. They do a dumb dance or something. Who knows? But they don't look really cool. And I just kind of want to hide them, based on my experience running groups in the Pacific and Southwest United States. So I thought, hey, I can hide a horn player behind this stand. And the lights and the screen can be controlled interactively from front of house and whoever is producing the show. And also in your touring, it's always a pain because you can't really afford most times to have the same horn players with you all the time. Sometimes you're going to get the on-call guys and they're reading the book for the first time and that's what you get. So why not hide the music stand, throw it all electronically, a PDF format, right here, and that way it's all taken care of. Horn player just has to show up, stand behind this thing, and play. They don't even have to really look cool because the stand takes care of all of that for them. Not a bad idea. And we can multi-purposes. Big band stands really aren't like a hot commodity. They're not super expensive. There's a small market for them. Now, of course, they plead to my heart, and I think they're awesome, and I would love to use this. But DJs are more likely to use this than a horn player. And it's also going to be expandable, so we can go to the sides and create more of like a surround sort of thing, increasing its footprint. But the other market is also going to be bartenders. Mobile catering equipment is quite expensive. A mobile bar, when I was looking online at one source, was anywhere between $1,500 and $10,000. And it didn't really look that cool. I thought, nah, this isn't what people want. I also started thinking about the, generation, well, my generation, in their 40s now, that a lot of single moms that they drink. And maybe they want to have a bar at home. And they're professionals and they can afford it. So why not make a cool looking bar that caters to, the aesthetics that women prefer? Which is why I came up with this. Now, my wife is not single now, but she was single for many, many years because we've only been married about 2. So up until her 40s, she was single, and she would very much like this bar. So she will have it. Now, how did I get here? It was kind of a long process. Really, new media is kind of hard to understand anyways. But really, this started back in July. I had taken a class last spring with Professor Mikhail Manchin, who's an outstanding artist as well. And the class was 3D design. And I learned how to use Fusion 360. I strangely loved the class. I say strangely because my background's in music. I didn't think that this would be anything I would be into. But it absolutely was something I was into. So using Fusion 360, I started modeling other things, and it was a lot of fun. Then I took an installation art class at the same time with Joshua Jest, and kind of between those two classes, also because Mikhail does so much in as far as installation art, his work with Meow Wolf even, and stuff that he's putting out at Area 15 in Las Vegas. It's phenomenal work, very inspirational, and to be able to work with them is pretty amazing as well. So it kind of pulled me in a new direction towards emerging technologies, whereas I had mostly been interested in the analog technologies of yesteryear. So now my overall aesthetic has turned to blending old technologies with new technologies, somewhere in the middle. Hence the big bandstand. Like the overall aesthetic of time period, around the 1920s up through, say, the 1950s. And I have no problem blending between those. That makes me happy. Beg, borrow, steal. Just put a little spin on it and make it yours. Own it. So anyways, the story goes, I finished the class, and Mikhail Manchin is working on opening a new venue in St. Pete called Fairgrounds. Fairgrounds is part of the larger facility, which is the factory, and is right off the bike trails down in St. Pete. It does a lot of amazing things, and way too much to cover here. But the cool part is that I get to work with Mikhail and James, like pretty much every day, all day, creating new media. So the way it works is there's like a story piece. There's a story that has to be told. I'm not really sure how to tell it. We want people to experience it. They come in, and we want them to find the story how they want in their own way, and it just evolves naturally. So you have to think, well, how will people interact with it? And that started changing a lot of how I thought about design in general. One of the first things that I developed there was the foot switch, because in the time of COVID, we can't be touching everything. So that went, I don't know, I mean, that was okay, but then we started developing a touchless button, which I liked a lot better, using ultrasonic sensors. We're also using some PIR sensors, and using a variety of different microcontrollers. The favorite of mine at the time, right now, is the Olimex ESP32. What I like about it is we have a version that has power over Ethernet and is also wireless, in a very, very small form factor, and you can program it using the native Arduino language. So I got hip to using the Arduino IDE to do some programming. Also, at the same time, had to learn some Python, had to learn how to basically get a Raspberry Pi up and running. Same thing with an Arduino, using like Arduino Unos, and the ESP32. So it's kind of like, well, what's the better tool for the job? What's the better form factor? And how's the experience going to work? So you come up with a concept, you draw it out, you come up with maybe some sketches, come up with like a wiring diagram and understand what it is. Then you start figuring out the components and sourcing them. A lot of stuff from Adafruit, and a lot of stuff you can actually find just right on Amazon, if you know what you're looking for. Also DigiKey had a lot of good stuff as well. From there, it was kind of like you have your bill of materials, it goes out, the stuff arrives 2 days later, and you're putting it together. You're soldering it, or putting it on a breadboard, and then you're hooking it up, and then you're testing the code, and then you have a prototype. prototype gets okayed, and then the next thing you're thinking about is, how's this going to go in a final version, and making it look good aesthetically. So it's been pretty cool to work with just an amazing team at Fairgrounds and seeing how they think and how they design as well. And I've been incorporating some of those ideas and concepts into my own work, which was really how I came across this idea of doing this big bandstand, and even thinking about how to expand it out for further uses. I'm very proud of the work, and I'm sure I will make more of these. And to be honest, I will probably do less of them as an actual big bandstand. More of them will probably be DJ booths and mobile bars. And I'm looking forward to what's next, which really is staying at the University of Tampa for I'm going to be doing the instructional design and technology degree, master's degree. And I'm staying at Fairgrounds, but instead of 3 days a week, I'll be there 5 days a week now, which I'm really looking forward to, as I've been able to be there as a creative technologist intern, and being able to, take up the slack into a full-time position is pretty amazing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that open in late January, early February.